Okay, it looks like it's coming up now. So right now it looks like we are live. I want to welcome everybody to another episode here on Big Green Real Estate Talk. This is episode 2 of season 2. I got Jay here with me once again. Hey Jay, how's it going?
So far, so good. What about you?
Oh, staying busy like everybody else in Southwest Florida right now, right?
Yes.
So one of the big topics I want to talk about, if you can already see it up on your screen, or if you're listening in, then I'll put this out here to you. It's how to sell your house, no realtor. Now, in season 1 of Big Green Real Estate Talk, I've kind of touched on some things over the time, but most of you guys know I'm pretty much a Zillow hater right now because I really feel like I feel like they really put a message out to the people to make it seem like they're doing such a better job than some of the realtors and everything. And in fact, that statement's not true at all. And I can break down some of the things I want to talk to you about. But I'm also going to tell you, as I break this down to you, of how you're going to be able to sell your house if you choose not to have a realtor. I think there's some benefits of Zillow. Don't get me wrong, but there's also some options out there for you to have from a non-traditional or even a traditional way of doing it. I did follow up, and this is something I can share right now, just so I know. I want to congratulate. There was a customer, well, not even only say customer, there was no, but a lead that I followed up with, I should say, that Jay and I actually went out to their house and checked on. He was doing for sale by owner. He actually sold his house by himself, and you know what? Great, more power to you. I think that's awesome that he was able to do that. I just, again, I told him what to look out for when I went out there, and I kind of gave him a whole rundown. Now, whether, I'm hoping it went great. He was happy, it seemed like, but you'll never know how happy you are until a couple of years later. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully everything follows up and everything's great. But nonetheless, and I say that because there's so many things that go with the transaction, which I'm going to cover, and the reason why that I caution people on this. Okay. So, if you were going to sell, let me just ask Jay, just the way I would kind of envision this. Jay, if you didn't know nothing about real estate, you knew nothing, right? You were wanting to sell your home. What in your mind would be the first? Try to put yourself with knowing nothing, right? What would be your first way of thinking about selling your property?
Okay, so with no real estate agent, if I said, okay, I'm gonna be the for sale by owner, sell it by myself, I know most of them first thing they think about is the money. So they don't know, okay, yes, I want big high money. So since Realtor.com or Zillow provide that for me. So since most of the people been talking about Zillow, so most thing that I'm gonna think, I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and trust Zillow, just put it in there. Whatever Zillow tell me, if my house is worth 280, 300, that's what I'm gonna put out there.
Yeah, and that's exactly. And what you just said was the point I was making, and I knew it would come up as you're sitting there talking about it. But whatever Zillow says, that's what we're going to do. And Zillow is not a human, by the way. It's actually a website. A lot of people get it misconstrued as factual data that's out there, but really they do a Zestimate, right? And a Zestimate, the problem that I have with the Zestimate is it doesn't matter. Now I've touched on this before, and I'm going to say it again and again when I have to even use that word Zestimate, right? A Zestimate can take the same square foot house, let's just say 1,000 square foot house against 1,000 square foot house down the road, and they'll evaluate them identically the same based off of the one down the street sold and the one down here is just now going up for sale. But they're telling you that your house is worth 200 because the one down the road sold for 200. What they don't tell you is, what kind of countertops did it have? What kind of flooring did it have? Is that thing about ready to collapse? I mean, who knows? It only goes based off the data that's inputted into their system. However,
Mm-hmm.
the problem is nobody knows what those actual properties physically looked like on the
Yes.
inside, right? That's part of the problem. And let me tell you, I haven't even got to the other part. I will explain something to you. Don't go by this estimate. One, your mark, you could be, if you are a for sale by owner and you haven't sold in this kind of market right now, and
Mm-hmm.
you haven't had a bite on your property within 30 days, there's a problem. Okay. There's a problem. You either overpriced your house because you listened to this estimate, you never got somebody to come out and give you a real comp, you never fixed up the house of whatever needs to be done based on key components. Those
Mm-hmm.
key components you're only going to find based on people that deal with the market on a regular basis. Okay. Um, and you know what? If you don't have the money to fix up your house, then you need to think about selling it for just a little bit lower. Because listen, these houses that are out there, you got to compare apples to apples. If you're just comparing Zestimate to Zestimate, forget about it. You're lost already. So I just explain this to people. Don't put your stuff out there and think that it's just going to happen. Okay, it's not.
Yes.
It's not going
Yeah,
to.
like whenever Zillow tell them, okay, you know what, your house is worth 280, but based on the other house from like less than a mile away. Yeah, like you said, you don't know the inside of the house that was sold, what kind of design, what exactly they have inside. Okay, Zillow tell me that my house is worth 280. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there for 280. But that's the one way. That's why it's always most of the time you need to have an agent. That's because that's our job. We don't just go ahead and do this estimate just like Zillow.
Right. And that is one of my biggest they're just one of my biggest pet peeves, if you will, when I have to look at it from that standpoint, because we're in this whole thing where we're trusting Zillow, again, not a human. It is just a
Mhm.
website that has programmers that have created an algorithm for you to get some kind of knowledge that is not always the best. I'm not saying that. Here's the thing. I've seen it to where it's 20,000 off. I've seen it to where it's dead on. But
Mhm.
the difference was of the dead on. It was in an HOA community. So how many rundown HOA houses do you see to where they have to? I mean, so you can kind of compare out. If you're buying an HOA community, maybe his estimate may be a little bit closer. Maybe. I don't know. I've been to some where they got holes in the wall too. So it just depends on the scenario when it comes to that. I mean, so you really want to make sure that you know exactly what you're looking for or what you're wanting to sell your house for, and making sure that it's up to par with everything else around you. It's not something you just want to rush in there and make a decision. I've also had, and by the way, there is this, I don't remember the statistic and I won't go into it because I don't remember the number, so I won't say the number, but it is higher than the norm that actual for sale by owners convert to getting a realtor once they acquire a customer, right? And the reason
Mhm.
for that is because now once they got their customer and the buyer, let me say this, the buyer doesn't have an agent, the seller doesn't have an agent. So they're like scratching their head trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, they don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. That's one of the things. That's why it's good to have a real estate agent because that's why we are here for. And most of the time, you put your house for sale on Zillow, and guess what? Somebody's gonna like it, and the buyer will say, okay, I want to work with a real estate agent. They want to know because, for example, if it's a first time home buyer, how exactly they're gonna know? Okay, what's the next step? What's to do? What's a contract? What's to put in the contract? That's why a real estate agent is really important to have.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole point. You're at a point right now, if you're out there and you're looking to sell, I know that you're trying to I know you're trying to save money as much as possible when you sell your home. I understand this. If I wasn't an agent, I would definitely want to save as much money as I possibly can, as well. But at the same time, you've got to understand that there's still legalities that go into being, selling real estate property. So by me telling you this, this is what I'm going to explain to you, is that when you sell your property, okay, you are liable for certain things unless you say that you're not. And if you go download, and by the way, this is my favorite. People try to do everything themselves, and they go download a contract off of Google. Well, I don't know if you know this, but the majority of contracts get updated frequently. And there's usually reasons behind the frequent updates, because something's transpired in a court case, something's transpired somewhere along the lines that they've had to update it. And if you've got an old contract, or if you're just putting it on a homemade contract that somebody has in a group and says, hey, this one works the best, then you could be having problems. Even if you have an attorney making up the contract, great. But guess what? You're going to spend tons of money with an attorney doing the contract, doing the closing, doing everything that you wanted to do from front to back. That's going to be another expense when all you have to do is get the realtor. So let me kind of go through this real quick. I want to not to harp so hard on this realtor aspect. I really want to get into some facts about what you can do to help yourself and save yourself to actually sell your house yourself. All right. So what you can do as a home buyer is, just as I said, at least if you're not going to use a realtor, you seek an attorney to get a contract done. That's number one. Make sure that the contract is agreed upon between both parties. That's the number one thing, is seek a because it's not going to be a Florida contract where probably thousands of attorneys have already overlooked it and said it's good and it's been solid in every other type of thing, every other type of transaction. So that's the first thing. If you're going to be selling your home, seek an attorney for a contract. Don't go to groups. Don't say what you use. Don't ask your friend what they use if they sold a home by themselves. You do not want to be in that position. Trust me, that is not a good position to be in. Jay, just to kind of go back to you for a second. Would you want, knowing the stuff that we know as realtors though, would you really want to go into a situation without a solid contract?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said, would you want to go into a situation, a transaction without a solid contract?
So as a for sale by owner?
Yeah.
As you said, sell it as his contract?
Yeah, like if you wasn't a realtor and you were selling your property, would you want to go into some kind of contract that either you found on the internet?
No.
Yeah.
No, because I know in my mind, first of all, most of the for sale by owner, they are doing that to save money, even though at the beginning I don't know anything about real estate agent. Yes, of course I want to save money, but at the same time I want to save my butt. If I don't know anything, I need to find someone. Like you said at the beginning, when we found the for sale by owner, we told them exactly, if you need any help, just don't be just go ahead and give us a call. And we told him exactly, this is that, and he needs to find an attorney. But if I'm the for sale by owner, somebody come and then buy it. So the first thing I'm gonna ask myself now, so what's the next step? Guess what? I'm gonna grab my computer, my laptop, and then Google it, and then whatever contract I see online, that's what I'm gonna get. But at the end of the day, so if I messed up the contract, it's gonna be on me.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. When we're licensed, I say this a lot, when we're licensed realtors, you tend to have a lot more responsibility than the average person. So I say this to people so they understand that. So they understand that you have somebody that is can help you through a transaction, and it's done. And here's the other thing: you may only sell one house in a lifetime. We've sold tons within years. You know what I mean? In a year or whatever. You're talking about. Even an average, and I'll just say average agent probably sells at least 2 or 3 houses in a year. Average. Above average, we're selling, anywhere between, I don't know, I didn't keep track the last couple, but at least I would say at least 10 to 15, if not more, in a year. And that's middle. range, right? That's kind of where I'm at right now, is middle range. But I say that because I've done it over and over and over. And yeah, I've had some situations come up, and that's, you got to know how to. First of all, this is not a part of it. What do you do if you walk into a situation? You negotiate it out. I mean, you have to go about what's on the contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have somebody to know how to think outside the contract to be able to come to a resolution that's going to be both parties because they've experienced similar things or they've had similar things happen, that's where you're going to run into trouble. So I think I beat that with a dead horse. So if you're going to post on Zillow, hey, listen, do it. Save your save the money you're going to put out commission. Just make sure you get a contract that's going to be good for you and your thing by with an attorney. That would be my best options. Now, the other thing, you can, and let me say this last little piece because I've done this too. This is where experience comes in. I've had a buyer call me, and a buyer calls me and says, "Hey, listen, I really want this piece of land." And they go, "It's not on the market, but the seller's willing to sell it to me." I said, "Okay, that's fine." I said, "What are y'all going to do with closing costs?" And he go, "Well, we're going to split them." I said, "I tell you what, I'm going to charge, since you guys are going to split it and you want me to do the contract, which I have the contract, I'll just do basically a type of contract that is going to make it to where this person's paying half, this person paying half. So I get what I need out of the transaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're each party's paying their own percentage, right? So that's an option as well. So if you're the seller and you tell the buyer, say, "Hey, listen, I want an agent to write this up so we're, it's on a good contract, and I can still participate for both parties to make sure the transaction goes smooth and you have somebody there." That way, at that point, you bring a realtor to the table, and now you can talk to the buyer and say, "Hey, listen, let's bring this person in to make sure everything goes smooth," and each person pays something to the realtor. So that way, it's a good transaction, and that's all negotiable, just like everything else in real estate. But just an option for you, though, for those sellers out there that get to a certain point that then want to cancel off or do whatever because they don't have somebody in place, right? So just to throw that out there. Also, let me go to Zillow. How many times y'all just click away on Zillow? All right, you click, 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 click.
Multiple time, million time.
Yeah. So Zillow's terms of services. Please read those terms of services. I'm telling you. Those of you don't know that Zillow is a broker, a licensed broker. Okay.
Yes.
And again, this goes back to the responsibility factors, right? As being an agent, being a broker, whatever. If you're licensed, you got a responsibility of some sort, right? But in their terms of service, one of the things that they state is they take no responsibility. So when you guys go to list, because I did it, this is how I came up with my material, because I was like, there has to be a key component here that somebody's just not reading or looking over. Sure enough, they take no responsibility. So if you come back and you say, "Hey, I post my house up," and you input the wrong information into Zillow, they take no responsibility. So when that buyer says, whoa, wait, you had up on Zillow, this, and that is not what's being sold, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a big door for opportunity for the buyer. And now it becomes a legal battle for sure if you don't have certain criteria in it. I know for a fact I ran into a for sale by owner, and I actually wanted to come and take a look at it because it was very interesting. And what was interesting about it was in a community where it was 2 bedrooms and a den in this community, and that's all you really seen. Well, they had theirs listed as 3 bedrooms. So I'm like, oh, okay, 3 bedrooms. That's a big difference between 2 bedrooms and a den.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? Let me ask this guy, because I might have a buyer for him. Let me see if he'll let me come out and take a look. Sure enough, I come and take a look, and I look around to him and I said, "Hey, where's the 3rd bedroom?" "Oh, the den." I said, "No, sir." I said, "That's a den. That's not, there's certain things that classify bedrooms, and dens, right? You got to know those differences." So I immediately told him, I said, look, I said, I'm so glad I came out to check this out, because I said, this is why I come out to check it out before I bring a buyer to the table. I said, because right now he thought he was getting 3 bedrooms. Well, he's trying to explain to me how the den is a bedroom. I said, no, it's not. You can't act, they don't look at it like that. There's a certain criteria that you have to follow under these circumstances. So luckily for me, I was representing the buyer. I owed nothing to the seller. So I went back and I told the buyer, I said, look, this is not a 3 bedroom. This is only a 2 and a den, just like all the other ones. He listed it incorrectly inside of Zillow. Now imagine if my buyer, because remember, we get hired by buyers all the time to do certain research and so forth. So imagine if my buyer would have went out there, or I'm sorry, if would have purchased that, and everything would have been hunky dory up until the day that they moved in and realized that it was a den. They got purchased a bedroom. Big problem. Big problem. Have you ever had that something like that happen with your buyers, Jay? I mean,
Yeah, sure. Like this week, I got a buyer. She was interested on a for sale by owner. But when we went and looked at it, he said 2 car garage. When I went and it was only like 1 car garage, I said, so I see on Zillow, it said 2 car garage. When I'm looking at it right now, why does it say why I'm looking at 1 car? And my buyer was like, so ma'am, you put on Zillow 2 car garage. Where's the other side for the other car? So that's why you say, like, when you're putting something on Zillow, you gotta make sure that you put the right thing, because Zillow is not responsible for anything. You'll do your mistakes, that your own mistake. You deal with it. That's the way it is.
yeah, and that's the truth. I mean, it's honestly the truth of the matter is that they don't take responsibility. They really don't take responsibility in any way, shape, or form based on the terms of service. So I would, this is why read everything that they send over to you. Now here's the best one. Let's say you are reading their terms of service. Something doesn't make sense in terms of service. Who are you gonna call?
Yeah, that's one thing.
Who are you gonna call? There's nobody to call. There's nobody to really get that information to you. I mean, again, Zillow is just not the best method of things, and I'm breaking it down here for you as to why that is. But again, use Zillow if you choose, but make sure you have certain fail safes, and that's what this is about: is that you can sell without a realtor, absolutely, but cover your butt when it comes to certain things. It's a big deal, huge deal. I've already talked about, and I'm just kind of going down through my list of highlights here. Because there's so many. So there's other things that are out there that other than Zillow that you can actually go and get your like where they say 0% listing fees. These are advertisements, and what they do is they charge you up front, whether they sell the house or not, for certain types of advertisement you may choose. It's like they put a package out, right? And they just become, they're licensed brokers, they're licensed agents, but they put their packages out to where now you're selecting what you want, and everything you select has a dollar amount. So you want them to sell your house because through Facebook advertisement, then you're going to pay a fee for that up front. You're going to pay this. Now it's cheaper. It is definitely cheaper, but you're paying it up front whether the house sells or not. That's the other problem. So you can pay out of your pocket to get that quote unquote 0% listing, which means they put it up on MLS, right? But again, there's a fee for everything they want to do. And that's another thing, by the way, is just so you, if you list on Zillow, you're only listing on Zillow and Trulia, I think it is.
Yeah, Trulia.
Yeah. So when you list with an agent, the agent is already tapped to all these other things that it automatically pushes out to websites you don't even it may not be predominant here, but maybe in somewhere else internationally that is more predominant to search on. Like I know Realtor.com, I know some of the other places that push it out. There's like over 300 or 400 that it gets pushed out to include the MLS. And the reason why MLS is so important is because that's where, if I have a buyer, I'm going to go look there first, because that's where every agent posts something up of a house being for sale. and
Yeah,
your
of
house,
course.
yeah, and you're going to be more than likely to sell. I mean, I just, I don't know. That's my whole thing is that you got to figure a way to do it. Have you ever posted something up for sale and it sold within a matter of minutes?
Yeah, not houses, but on Facebook Marketplace when I'm selling my personal stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So you post it on there, it pushes it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it sells like that. I mean, that's the whole point. Now you talk about the Facebook Marketplace, which I'm going to go into in just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about the MLS when you post it up there and it goes out. It sells like
Yes, automatically it's go to it goes to realtor.com and all the other ones. So that's why when you have a real estate agent, you're thinking about saving, but us, that's our job to advertise for you.
yeah.
Yes, you thinking about, okay, they asked me for 6%, but I don't want to do 6% this or that. But the money that we are getting, but this is how we are advertising all over the place. And this is and most of the time we don't do it by ourselves. Like for example, if I'm selling a house for you, I said, okay, you know what, Tyler, I got a house for sale. Can you post it on your Facebook? But if you're a for sale by owner, so how exactly someone gonna help you and post it on their page? You can only keep it on Zillow or Facebook Marketplace.
So that's another thing. So let me put it this way. If just going back to what she said, is that MLS is a group of, it is all agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Agents deal with customers every single day, right? So guess who we're probably friends with on Facebook? Majority of our friends, they're realtors.
Yeah.
And that's how, when we use our inner network like that, you guys, as people who are selling their home, you guys get to tap into our network, which means, your house gets pushed out. We get people asking questions, we answer the questions, a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Okay. So this is features that you really want to make sure you know a little bit about. So let me go into this too. This is to do with Facebook. Okay. So how many of you guys, you guys can comment below, by the way, and any questions you have, we'll always come back to it. But I have a question in regards to how you guys right now, how do you think about Facebook, and how do you think, if you're the seller and you don't need an agent, what is your most common way of doing it? Jay, I'm going to pick on you again. If you were not a realtor, how would you use Facebook to sell your property? What would you do as not a realtor?
Just post it on Facebook Marketplace or post it on my personal page and see if somebody gonna buy it.
Okay, perfect. So here, let me explain to the way realtors do it. And well, let me back up a second. Let me explain the way I do it, and it makes more sense my direction. So I can tell you based on, by the way, I got up to 5 years digital marketing background experience. Been to several conferences in Las Vegas. Met with some big people who do exactly marketing like I do. So here's one of the things I'm going to tell you. A lot of people don't know this. And have you guys ever went and looked on Amazon and found something you like and you buy it and you're like, okay, wonderful. Next thing you know, you're going back to Facebook, looking at what your friends think, and over on the right-hand side, you see a bunch of ads about something else that needs to go with that tool you just bought or that whatever thing you got. That's called target marketing, people. Okay. This is target marketing. So what I'm trying to tell you is I'm going to advertise in a target way with Facebook. One, it helps me because I'm paying for this advertisement. So it helps me save my dollars, get your house or your land out in front of the right people, the people that are interested in actually buying. I'm not just throwing it up on Marketplace, right? And I'm saying, oh yeah, look at my place, because guess what? That's just random.
Mm-hmm.
There's yeah, you're gonna have to update that every so often. You have no rhyme or reason. And then good luck dealing with all the tire kickers. That's another thing. They're gonna be on there messaging you, is this available? Is this available? And they're gonna say, okay, take $100,000 off. I mean, come on, people. I'm telling you, that's not the way to do it. Realtors that are out there doing that, they don't understand the digital marketing back. That's why I say it time and time again. All realtors are not created equal. It's just not. So what I'll tell you is target marketing is key. And that is how we sell your house. I already know that with your house of what somebody has to make in order to qualify for your house. Simple as that. If you don't understand that concept, and your house is a little bit harder to sell because maybe it's not closer to the city, or maybe it's here, or maybe it's something, whatever that feature is that may make it hard to sell, or maybe you just posted on Zillow and it fell down to the bottom of the list, and it's nothing, so it's nothing. So if you want to know more about that, that's what we do here with my group. We do target marketing for a property to get the right people in place to buyers, what I call buyers in waiting. And I usually have a list of buyers in waiting for certain amounts and certain things. It's just trying to find enough property right now. Now, 2 years ago, I had sellers that were wanting me to sell their house, and I couldn't because they didn't have enough equity for it to make sense to sell it. And there was people waiting in line as seller lists for the equity to go up. So that way they could sell their house, make their dollar, and go from there. And I was even negotiating certain terms with them. So that way they could take more equity. I've even told the story about where, I've had to deal with, people who, I call them wolves, trying to go take advantage of people to where they're, only owe $40,000 on a house, and they're saying, "Hey, I'll give you 40,000 plus 5,000 in your pocket. That's 45,000." I had that happen, or at least let me rephrase that. They attempted that to happen to one of my sellers, but then they signed on the dotted line, and from that point on, I got them $20,000 in their pocket after they paid all the commission. So think about that. I mean, that's huge. People are going to try to go that route with you, but you don't have to. If you are in a hurry to sell and you want to make a quick, fair market value, we have programs that we can do that with, that we handle. It's just express offers, all it is. I go in, I deal with that directly. I say, "Here's this." You don't even have to let your house sit on the market. It's optional. It's you're not going to get top dollar for it, but if you're just looking to do a quick sale, that's something we can do. It's just something to work out. So let me try to go over some other things. First of all, before I go any further, you got anything else to add to that, Jay? With that whole topic there, because I've really beat Zillow up today. But I'm also trying
to the only thing is that I don't want anybody to think that we are pulling Zillow, we are like flushing Zillow or anything, but that's you. If you do what's best for you. If you want to go with Zillow, go with Zillow. If you want to go with an agent, go with an agent. Just make sure that when you're going with Zillow, that you do everything by the law, every single thing, because at the end of the day, you gotta cover your butt. So I just want everybody to know that yes, we've been talking about Zillow. So most of the agents are against Zillow, which I understand. But at the end of the day, if you're selling your house through Zillow, make sure that everything are correct. Because if you just put yourself in the buyer's shoes, if you are the one buying, you gotta make sure that whatever the seller's telling you, whatever the seller is saying, they are truth. Because at the end of the day, when you buy that house, you don't want anything bad happen. So just yes, we're talking about Zillow. Just choose. If you want Zillow, just go with Zillow. If you want a real estate agent, just go with a real estate agent. So
yeah, and then I'm gonna wrap this up, and we got 4 minutes left here. I probably went over a little bit, but it's okay. I knew this was a heavy topic for what we had to cover. The other thing is that you got to be real careful with who, especially if you're living in your house, or even if you're not. You got to be careful who you say to let look at your house, right?
yes.
Sometimes there's people out there just scoping places out. You got to know how to really verify them. And most buyers, they won't trust a seller. They'll trust an agent, but they won't trust the seller. That's the way the buyers are. Now, see, it's funny because sellers don't trust the agent as much as the buyers do. The buyers love agents because they realize that they know more about that process and they trust in them to get.
We're making sure that they are not screwed. So we're making sure that everything goes well. So
Exactly. So that's, but sellers, we're here for you too, because you don't want somebody to come in and scope your place out. Next thing you know, you get robbed a couple of weeks later. Or B, the other thing is that you're just letting randos come in and looking at your property. And for what? It's a dangerous thing to consider. So you need to know that when you're doing certain things, be very cautious. We have Jay and I actually have already pretty much a whole map in the way that we, buyers in the way we qualify them. And it's not just with a piece of paper, it's with many other questions that we ask. These are all things that we do. That's part of our everyday routine dealing with phone calls. We get leads for buyers all the time. That's why I say we always get buyers in waiting. So, we just know how to qualify them, guys. I mean, that's as simple as I can make it. We know how to qualify them. I'm not saying they're going to walk in your house and buy it, but I'm saying that before they even walk in your house, they're going to be qualified enough to buy your house, and not just with a dollar amount. Just with making sure they're not people that's going to be of harm. So, with that being said, I'm going to kind of. Did you have anything else to add to the topic? Because I think I'm going to wrap this one up.
No, nothing. I'm just looking at the time, just making sure that we don't go over.
I know we started a little early, but that's okay. So you guys out there, listen, it's been fun. I'm glad we've had to take this. This is my second episode with Jay on the second season. She is my new co-host for this season, and again, I thank her for being part of Big Green Real Estate Talk. And we look forward to bringing other people on to do interviews with. We're going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks. So you may be seeing some of that come in. For all intents and purposes, hit that thumbs up, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. And also comment any questions you have. I'm always here to try to answer questions. And Jay will do the same.
Yes, yes. Please comment below whatever you want us to talk about. Just comment below, and then we'll see. We'll be able to talk about it. If you want to talk about title, we'll see if we can bring someone. If you want to talk about like mortgage, we'll see if we can bring someone. Anything, any questions you have. If we don't have the answer, we have people outside that we'll work with, and of course, we'll come up with the answer for you.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jay, for tuning or joining in. And everybody else, thank you for tuning in. And I'll talk to you guys next Monday. Later.
All right, bye.